Fiat, in fact, fiat is better. Fiat gives you
Mhm.
privacy,
Yes,
right?
yes. But this
Like
is
for
going to be
example,
completely monitored.
yeah, if even fiat has one thing that gives you privacy. CBDC won't give you that, and that is what
Mhm.
people are concerned about.
Is crypto dead in India? Is Bitcoin illegal in India? What will be the future of cryptocurrency, particularly when it comes to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrencies in India? If these questions are something which is bothering you, then this podcast, this episode is especially for you. Today, we have a special guest with us who will help us answer these questions and, along with it, also help us to understand that how it is going to be for cryptocurrencies in India for any investor or for any business. So today we have with us Mr. Kashif. Mr. Kashif has a rich experience of over 17 years in sales and distribution. He has worked in renowned organizations like PepsiCo, Sony Pictures, and Disney UTV. He started his journey in cryptocurrencies back in November 2016 and founded a very reputed platform known as Crypto Kanoon for helping people understand legalities as well as regulatory hurdles in cryptocurrencies in India. His venture, Crypto Kanoon, was recently acquired by CoinX, and right now he's running another venture known as Bit Aliens. So we welcome Mr. Kashif on the show, and let's right away start.
Thank you very much, Sunil. Glad finally we met. I think it's been 2016 we know each other, but I mean somehow we couldn't interact. And we have never met like in any event. But I think it's a good start, and I'm very happy to be here. And thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the beauty of Web3 that you may know people, you
Yeah,
may not have met people, face to face, but you will be in one way or the other. We are cooperating and collaborating with each other. So welcome to
yeah,
the show, sir.
absolutely. Absolutely, and very glad to meet you. And I think CoinGape is one of the most respected crypto media outlet, and it's been operating for the past say 5 6 years. And I've been observing it. When I made an entry into this space, I think in 2017, I used to visit CoinGape, and since then it has grown multifold. And I congratulate you and your team for doing a stupendous job.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your kind words. So, Mr. Kashif, this episode is particularly for people in India who are living in tier two, tier three cities and who are right now basically not that much aware about cryptocurrencies from a point of law and order. And they are particularly people who are mostly vulnerable to these scams or these manipulations which are going on in the market. So this episode is to basically provide them that peace of mind, that clarity, that how they can actually make profits, how they can actually hold crypto while they are staying in India. So on that note, I will like to start with a very basic question that is crypto illegal in India? Is holding cryptocurrencies or trading in cryptocurrencies illegal in India?
Right. So I'll give a very simple analogy to it. Is like if I ask you a counter question: Is holding gold in India is illegal? So you'll say no, it is it's perfectly legal, right? The only issue is that gold is not a legal tender, but holding gold or buying gold is absolutely legal, right? Similarly, when it comes to crypto, buying any crypto that is listed on an exchange is absolutely fine. You can buy Bitcoin, you can buy altcoins, and you can just buy them, and either you can put it on your exchange, or if the exchange is allowing you withdrawal, you can withdraw it and keep it in your wallets. So the whole point of buying crypto and holding it or keeping it in your wallet is absolutely fine. It is as good as you are buying gold. The only issue is that crypto is not allowed as a legal tender. Similarly, as gold is not allowed as a legal tender, right? So legal tender is something that you cannot force the other person, right, to set off his legal obligation, right? So suppose if I took 100 rupees from you. I also would like to
Mhm.
clear this point. Suppose if I took 100 1000 rupees as loan from you in INR, And tomorrow, if I come back and I pay you, if I try to pay you back the loan in gold, so you have the legal right of saying no. I want it in INR. I don't want my loan to be repaid in gold, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the whole point. I cannot force you to take the loan back in gold. So, but if I'm paying you loan back in 1,000 rupees in INR, you cannot say no to that, right? So that
Mm-hmm.
is I try and explain people about the legal tender, right? So RBI is little worried about, the whole concern of RBI is also that, tomorrow if they allow crypto to flourish in the country, it might be used as as a legal tender, and people might presume it as a legal tender, and people might use it as as an alternative to INR. That is their whole concern. And time to time in in their paper, time to time, in their different media appearance, they have raised their concern that they don't want to allow crypto in the country, because it might threaten their monetary policy, and it might run as is a parallel system to the existing monetary system that we have in the country. Their concern is to certain extent is right, because as we are saying, that the increase in the stable coin market, that we can discuss obviously in the as we proceed in the conversation. But their concern is absolutely right, because Sunil, you might have seen that the overall stable coin market is growing
Mm-hmm.
pretty fast. Now, recently, we have heard of PayPal entering into the stablecoin market. Stable coins do have a utility where people are trying to hold stable coins in developing countries, especially where there is a lot of inflation, where the country debasement is very high, like Zimbabwe, Venezuela, where people are trying to accumulate as many stable coin as they can, because ultimately that is a perfect hedge for them against the country
Mm-hmm.
debasement, value debasement of the currency. So stable coins threat is absolutely right for any developing nation, because obviously when if they grow, people given an opportunity will try and hold more stable coin in comparison to the current the sovereign currency of that nation. So yeah, that concern of RBI is absolutely right, but all these concerns are under discussion. G20 is already there, a lot of discussions are already happening. But as far as your question goes, that if it's legal or not, it's perfectly legal, and there is no doubt about that.
Nice. So, I mean, for a layman person in India right now, let's say if somebody wants to buy Bitcoin, then according to you, what is the right way to do it?
Yeah, the right way to buy Bitcoin is so first let's understand what is not the right way to do it. Then the
Mhm.
not
Yes.
then people will eventually figure out, okay. So not the right way to buy Bitcoin is not to buy it in cash, right? Because
Okay.
that's a very you can put yourself in trouble. Why? Because if you're buying it from somebody, and that somebody has a criminal background, suppose,
Hmm.
and that wallet from where you received crypto belongs to somebody who has a criminal background, then you might put yourself into trouble, right? And it'll be very difficult to establish why you bought it, from where you bought it, who was the person, did you took his KYC or not, right? And so the worst thing to buy crypto as of now in the country today is to buy it in cash, because that raises a
Hmm.
lot of suspicion and a lot of questions, and you might put yourself into trouble, especially if the amount is more than 2 lakh rupees, right? And
Okay.
you did not report it, that purchase, and you also
Hmm.
did not say deducted TDS, and you didn't comply with things, then buying crypto in cash is one of the most you are inviting trouble. That is something that I really tell people not to do that. Second is that if you go through P2P of various
Hmm.
exchanges, then also we are seeing that there are people who are facing a lot of troubles. We have seen accounts getting freezed, and P2P model also has a lot of issues, right? So the right way to do is to just go on exchange. Most of the exchanges are pretty good, pretty decent. I don't want to take a particular name here, but like CoinDCX, CoinSwitch, Kuber, These are like decent ones where you can just go
Mhm.
and buy your crypto. It takes a little effort. I'm not saying that it is way too easy, because obviously banking channels and all those things are pretty difficult. But yeah, the reality right now is that obviously if you have decided to enter into crypto, you will face some resistance. It is not that easy, um, but I will always recommend people not to find an easy alternative to this, because those easy alternatives can go wrong, and if once they go wrong, they go wrong pretty badly. So because in the country today, it is very difficult for you to, if you get into some kind of a legal trouble, it will be very difficult for you to convince the other person. We have seen very senior people getting into trouble in terms of explaining things, because
Mhm.
explaining crypto and the crypto transaction to people, especially at the very grassroots level, is very difficult. So I will
Mhm.
suggest people not to involve in cash or in P2P. If you've given an opportunity, you should always go and buy it directly through exchange. That is the right way of doing it.
Nice. So, I mean, definitely. So Indian government already has given proposed a TDS, proposed a capital gain tax as well.
Yeah.
And this is ITR season as well. So a huge shout out to everybody who has not filed it yet, that please follow the government regulations around it. Now, this was something for retail, Mr.
Hmm.
Kashif, right? And let's move on to the part where, let's say, some business in some urban or suburban part of India wants to accept cryptocurrencies, being in India. Then what would be your recommendation if, let's say, I'm a business and I want to accept cryptocurrencies and I have a company that is filed under Indian rules and regulations?
Yeah. So see, I'm not a chartered accountant or a legal expert to give you an advice over it. But as far as I
Mhm.
know, many companies, when I interact with them, then and if I ask them this question, then how do they do it? And
Mhm.
since if you remember that crypto Kanoon was taken over by Coinex, so we are very close to
Mhm.
Coinex guys who are providing like tax software solutions where they help you to calculate your taxes. So I was just going through them and having a discussion with them and their legal team and the chartered accountants. So as per them, it is perfectly okay to receive crypto,
Mhm.
for the work that you have done. Just that you need to show it, right? And you need to immediately convert it into the INR. So suppose if you received it today, say 2000 USDC. So suppose at 5 p.m. you received it. You need to see what was the value of that crypto at 5 p.m. You need to convert it into cash, and then you need to do the same entry or same considerations that you do it for cash. You need to, once you've converted into cash, it's like you have shown it as an income, and then once you have shown it as an income, you need to show it in your books. And obviously once you received it, you need to be clear from where you received it and on for what, right? So you need to do proper documentation in terms of invoicing maybe, and you need to have a proper record or email where you, once you have received the payment, what was the basis of it. And if you have received it for performing some work, then obviously it is an income. And if once you have received it as an income, you need to show it in under the various heads. And it is, the softwares today are very Coinex, if you use the software that personally we all of us know, it's
Mhm.
very good in that you have this segregation where you will where the software will pick up that you received this income at so and so, and the value of this, even if you forgot, even after 1 year, the software will tell you that at 5 p.m. on 9th of August, this was the value of this crypto, and in
Mhm.
INR terms. And then you can manually say, okay, this was an income received from so and so for performing so and so job. So
Mhm.
things get very clear. It's very easy today to calculate all this stuff. The issue is that if suppose you received it and there can be a this thing that you forgot, or there can be that if somebody was hiding it, then obviously it becomes a challenge. But for somebody who's doing a legit work, and if they are into a business of calculating it and as an income and showing it and having a proper documentation, I don't think so there is a problem.
So, but this is clear that businesses in India can actually accept crypto payments. I
Yeah,
think
they
there is
can,
no.
because government has not said anything about receiving crypto, or they've not said anything, because
Mhm.
people are using Binance. People are sending crypto to Binance, receiving crypto from Binance, so transactions are already happening.
Mhm.
So at retail level it is happening, so at business level it is perfectly okay. It's just that you need to have proper documentation. So yeah, so I mean, uh, we have softwares today that can calculate all the income that you received, and at what was the cost, what was the value in terms of INR, and you can just put it on record and just deposit the relevant taxes on that.
Mhm. So, Mr. Kashif, moving on to the part of policy on a policy level, right? From a country perspective, then we are right now seeing a lot of debates, a lot of advancements taking place in US in terms of Stablecoin Act, and also they are right now they are right now discussing these three major crypto bills which are going to finally regulate cryptocurrencies in US particularly. In India, are there such kind of discussions going on, or are there certain debates that normal public should follow if they really want to understand that what is going on in India on a policy level and on a regulatory level from the government side?
Sunil, what is happening, in US is something they are into very advanced stage of discussions,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
I think we have not even begun those discussions. In
Hmm.
in in India, the best level, at what level we have reached, is that we have taxed it. So we are clear that we want to tax it at the highest bracket, right? 30% flat. The way we treat gambling income, the way we treat speculative income, we have actually kept crypto in the same bracket. Like we recently saw that online fantasy games were also taxed at 28% in terms of GST. Similarly, crypto is being treated as a gambling income. That's what we have achieved till date in the country today. uh, in terms of policy, in terms of regulation, I think uh, the another good thing that has happened is that India had the G20 presidency, and India took it in a way that one of the agenda of India was, as a president of G20 nation this year, was that they will come up with a framework where all the countries agree to a common framework to regulate crypto. And the good part is that recently India released an official document, where they have mentioned some 8 9 objectives, and none of those objectives is saying that we need to ban crypto. All they are saying that we agree to what FSB is saying, we agree to what IMF is saying, we agree to what FATF is saying. So a combined synthesis report is subjected to get released in September, where almost all the G20 nations will agree to that common framework. This common framework might get released. First draft will get released in September. The people who are behind the agencies who are behind this synthesis report is FSB, Financial Stability Board of US, IMF, International Monetary Fund, and then G20 president. So G20 president, India's input have also gone. India has already said that we most of the points mentioned by FSB we agree to that. So India has not specifically said anything. They have only said that we need to check that monetary policy aspect of developing nations, and money laundering, tax evasion, terrorist financing. These are the three concerns what India has said. So in all, the whole narrative right now is that we will see a common framework in September that will be acceptable to all and under India's leadership. So India will say that in their presidency, India's achievement was that under their leadership, at least a common framework was released in September. So I
Hmm.
think that's a great news for all of us, because ultimately this framework will be adopted by India also. And India, why India does not have a crypto law right now is because India wanted to wait for this G20 presidency, because they didn't want it to come up with a law, and then they also have a G20 presidency where they are trying to figure out a common framework. Now, once the common framework is out and under India's leadership, what they will do, they will pick the same draft and most of the points from that draft, and then they will come up with a crypto bill maybe after in 2024. Because right now, just in winters, I think we'll have a there won't be any discussions Lok Sabha sessions, because in 2024 we are already having elections. So when that date will come,
Mhm.
I think most likely now the the crypto bill should come in 2024, and it will be in line with what G20 framework will be there.
Nice. So, I mean, as we already know, India is already a land of Web3 startups, right? We
Yeah.
have far more larger startups than any other country in the world right now. Uh, but is there any particular checklist, or is there any particular guidelines that these upcoming startups or upcoming entrepreneurs should follow if they are actually diving into Web3 space? I mean, do you have such recommendation for them that if let's say today I am starting my Web3 company in India, then what should be my mode of operandi? How should I move forward with it?
Yeah, first of all, it is very difficult to register a company under blockchain or crypto name. So when you go and register a company or LLC, or any firm, and the moment you write crypto and blockchain, your company high chances are that your company will not be registered, right? So
Mhm.
that's the biggest challenge. The first challenge is that. The second challenge is that once you deal in crypto in the country, it is very difficult to, because obviously when you're dealing in it, most of your employees are remote, most of your developers are sitting remote, most of your testing is happening around the world, right? So suppose if you're going to a DAO structure, there is no clarity on DAO, right?
Mhm.
If you're going on NFTs, there is no clarity on NFTs, and every time you are doing a transaction, it's a tax event. So even if you're
Mhm.
testing something, so suppose even if you're testing in within your team about the smart contract, every time you are testing, there is no clear rule that testing or experimenting is excluded from taxable event. So every time
Mhm.
you are doing a transaction, right, buying or selling is happening, you have to deduct TDS and you have to report it. If you're not doing it, it's not the right way of doing it. And so even if you're testing, imagine there is a taxable event,
Mhm.
and if you're not reporting it, you're into trouble. There are not many things that are clear right now, and I think just because of this thing, it's very difficult for companies to operate here, and that is the reason a lot of companies have migrated already, and companies in future are also planning to migrate because of the same reason.
So I mean, if somebody, an accountant becomes a primary kind of an advisor here, right? I mean, going without an accountant and opening a crypto company is something that should be avoided, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yeah, it's like, suppose if you don't have a token, right? There
Mm-hmm.
are Web3 companies who don't want to release a token as of now. I think they're still well placed because they don't have a token. They're building a smart contract, right? Or there are companies who are providing a backend solution, or there is a company in Web3 who is providing developers. There is a media outlet, suppose, right, who
Mm-hmm.
is just doing the media job, right? So I think for them it is not a problem. But if suppose somebody is launching an application, or somebody is launching a protocol, or somebody is into DAO NFTs, where there is a consistent transaction is required, right? Then it is very difficult. And DAO and most of the so the ultimate goal of any Web3 project is to go on DAO, the governance model, and governance can only happen through tokens. So that is the reason when companies they start in India, what I have seen, but as they go closer to a token event, right,
Mm-hmm.
so they move to various other locations, so that this genesis in India, they start in
Mm-hmm.
India. Once they go closer to their mission of of going on governance,
Mm-hmm.
then they migrate to some other place. I think that is the thing that I'm observing. Most of the people have done it this way. But if somebody is well funded and they want to immediately start with a token or airdrop tokens. I have hardly come across any project that has registered itself in India and then done it. Most of
Mhm.
the big names have already moved out.
So, Mr. Kashif, moving on to the next part, I mean, of course, we cannot ignore CBDCs, right? We cannot ignore e-rupee. So, how do you see this? I mean, this emergence of e-rupee from Indian government particularly. One thing is very clear, in my opinion, that e-rupee somehow is going to kill cash, of course, right? But is it
Mhm.
also a threat to public cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, or maybe public stable coins like USDT? I mean, how do you see this whole CBDCs impacting cryptocurrencies in particular?
Yeah, so CBDC is something that is natural way of progression that we are seeing in
Mhm.
currencies, right? So currencies have evolved over the period of time. Like you had paper currency, then you had digital currencies, then you had plastic currencies in terms of cards, right? So currencies are evolving, and now what we see, the next phase in this is CBDCs, and almost every other country, almost all the central banks are busy,
Mhm.
in their own CBDCs. Almost all the countries have decided that somewhere at some point of time they want to go cashless, right? With the growing technology, it is possible now, and programmable money is also a possibility, right? And India is no different. India is already, uh, in fact, they are one of the fastest one, because they are already using the infrastructure of UPI, right? So I think going forward, CBDC is a reality, but how far it will be successful is yet to be seen. Suppose for a country like India, where you still have 40% people, uh, who are yet to have the internet connectivity.
Mhm.
For 30-35%, I think, are yet to have a smartphone. A country where still cash, reliance on cash is still very high. People still like to hold cash, especially in rural markets. So I think it'll be a challenge, but CBDC is a reality. Um, there are already concerns in country like UK, where yesterday only I was reading that 250,000 people have signed a petition, online
Mhm.
signature petition, where 250,000 people have signed that they do not want UK to replace the cash with CBDC by, say, at least 2050. Till 2050, they don't want UK government to come up with any kind of a formula where they are trying to eliminate cash with CBDC.
Mhm.
People are already concerned about the privacy. People are already concerned about the control mechanism that CBDC might come up with. Because if you can control money, if you can program money, then the people are raising, their people are as people know more and they're getting more understanding about it, they are getting more concerned about it, because they are saying that their accounts might get freezed and they might not have any cash to do their basic things. So this
Mhm.
way there will be more control on people's lives, and it can be misused, right? So all different kind of narratives and concerns are already coming. As far as crypto, and that is the other altcoins, and so I'll say, with Sunil, CBDC is not in competition with Bitcoin. Are People are buying Bitcoin as a store of value, not for buying coffee. And I
Mhm.
don't see in near future also that people will buy coffee from Bitcoin. Why? Because if an asset, if it's a human nature that if people think that my asset will grow in future, people generally don't spend that money, you know
Mhm.
so Bitcoin is in a phase right now, and I don't know for how many years it will be that phase, where people believe that this asset might go up in future, so people might not spend it. People might s- that is the reason for spending. People are using stable coins.
Mm-hmm.
So stable coins are being used for buying stuff, for transacting. Bitcoin is being used for as a store of value, and other altcoins, as far as other altcoins are concerned, they or also people are buying them as stocks, as securities, that somewhere these stocks might perform well, and
Mm-hmm.
they might give them a good decent return in future. So CBDC is a different. CBDC is like a digital form of your money only, right? So it is not in line. It a threat to securities and Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
People might have CBDC wallet, but they doesn't mean that they will leave Bitcoin and altcoins, right? So going forward, these are going to be very interesting times. CBDC is a reality. uh, by the way, we are already cashless right now. If you see how many
Mm-hmm.
times when we move out of our home, we forget to take a wallet, and we have a phone in our pocket, and we are least bothered about wallet even today. It's just that we will not even know. A day will come
Mm-hmm.
that we are using CBDC, and we are not having cash in our wallets. But as I told you, there are concerns that are coming from all over the world, and I think these concerns are growing high, because as more and more people are joining these kind of a campaigns, right? You initially saw that when COVID vaccine came,
Mm-hmm.
people were upbeat, then started the concern. So every new thing, people are upbeat in the beginning, they're excited about it, but as we progress, there are concerns, they come, and then people who have a lot of concerns, they grow in number.
So, I mean, if I were to summarize, then you think that CBDCs are in competition to fiat rather than crypto, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. And I will say not a competition, but there are the fiat will change. The
Mm-hmm.
it's all fiat only, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
digital fiat. You can say that.
Nice. So, Mr. Kashif, I mean,
Just that,
we all
just
know.
that, just that.
Mm-hmm.
Fiat. In fact, fiat is better. Fiat gives you
Mm-hmm.
privacy,
Yes,
right?
yes. But this
Like
is
for
going to be
example,
completely monitored.
yeah, if even fiat has one thing that gives you privacy. CBDC won't give you that, and that is what
Mhm.
people are concerned about.
So, Mr. Kashif, we all know that you are a successful entrepreneur yourself. You created a very reputed brand, Crypto Kanoon, which recently got acquired as well. So, this is a question from me as well as from audience as well. We received that if today you were to start Crypto Kanoon, then are there a few things that you would like to change if you were to start Crypto Kanoon again?
Yeah, so Crypto Kanoon was a mission, to be honest.
Mhm.
It was not planned. It just came at a time when there was no media outlet who was talking about regulation in a way that it should have been done. I think that was its time, and we are glad that we played a very important role during those times, especially when the case was there in the Supreme Court. There was nobody to cover it live. I think
Mhm.
that was a gigantic moment, and I believe that destiny had chosen us for to bring the right information. We are glad that we were part of that history. We contributed
Mhm.
like most of us, and I think it gives me a lot of satisfaction that okay, we did a great thing, and the industry has been kind to acknowledge our work. We have been rewarded decently in terms of Crypto Kanoon got acquired, and it got acquired by a company that eventually we also wanted to do something similar to that only, because Crypto Kanoon
Mhm.
future was that. I think Coinex and Puneet was the right way to do it, and we are happy in supporting them. Even today, we are part of that ecosystem only, and we continuously try to make the product better. That is the reason I'm very confident that Coinex has really helped a lot of individual and businesses uh,
Mm-hmm.
to relax, to make them, a little relaxed, that there is no problem in crypto. It's just that you need to have a proper accounting. Otherwise, there is
Mm-hmm.
no issue in that, right? It has made the life of people easy, you know. So you don't have to worry at all if you are using a Coinex. So I'm glad that we are part of that only, and thank you very much for that acknowledgement.
So, Mr. Kashif, there were a few events, in particularly in India, which really
Hmm.
got international attention as well. Definitely there was this controversy behind WazirX and Binance, since WazirX at that time was really a very reputed exchange for Indians at least, right? So this is a
Hmm.
question, in that sense, that can an average Indian trust Indian exchanges right now, considering that okay, they are centralized, keeping ahead the situation of regulatory, situation as well in India. So if I have Bitcoin today, shall I trust crypto exchanges with it, or shall I just keep it on some on-chain wallet?
Uh, s- it's a difficult question, to be honest, because the choice is up to you. If you
Mhm,
are comfortable, because having saying a self custody, just talking about it is something else, and when you it comes to self custody, it is very difficult. It's very unusual for people. People are not used to it. People always kept their money with banks, so they are used to it. The
mhm,
moment you tell them to keep it with you, it gives them nightmare. So not many people are comfortable with it. It is up to
mhm,
you if you want to do it. If you've decided to do it, obviously there are benefits of doing it, because obviously you are not then relying on any exchange ability. Otherwise, you're continuously worried about the ecosystem. You're worried about if the exchange will exist or not. Whenever some hack happens, you get worried. So obviously that worry will end, but then self custody is not a easy way forward. Obviously, you need to decide that you want to take this path or not. Once you've decided, then you need to train yourself, get a lot of information, how to keep it safely, what are the ways, how to keep store your private keys, because most of the cases happens when you store your private keys on Google Drive, or
mhm,
you were using it, publicly. You were not careful enough, you stored it in an Excel file or a Word file, or you were careless enough to leave it at your desk, right? Anything can happen. So if you think that you're a careless guy and it can happen with you, then obviously you should not do it. The answer to the question lies with you only. The individual has to answer this, that if he's ready or not. So we might say that it's the right way. In fact, Satoshi said it's the right way. So if he said that, then obviously it is the right way. But if you are prepared for this way or not, that you have to decide.
mhm, mhm. Right, right. So I'm sure, Mr. Kashif, you're following the news around Bitcoin ETF. The BlackRock CEO himself, kind of, acknowledged the importance of cryptocurrencies globally on a public stage. So, I mean, what is your prediction now for India, particularly? I'm saying that we are seeing definitely global attention towards crypto now in mainstream media as well. They are also now taking it in a positive manner. They're also now finally acknowledging the benefits of cryptocurrencies. But in India, I am particularly, it's my opinion, I'm still to see that. I'm still seeing very low level coverage around cryptocurrencies. I'm still seeing the not that positivity, to be frank. So that if somebody is into business or if somebody wants to make a career in crypto, they still have these negative sentiments around. But what
Hmm.
is your prediction right now for India, that what can we see in terms of regulatory clarity 5 years or 10 years down the line?
I think we should see some clarity in September.
Okay.
The synthesis paper that will come. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
that India is the G20 president. So once the synthesis paper is out, it has this acknowledgement of India. Once
Mm-hmm.
that acknowledgement is there, you can just see that the either the paper will be implemented as it is in India, or 70 to 80% points of that report will get implemented as a law, and that you can expect in 2024, maybe in budget session or some other session. I think 2024, it should not go beyond 2024. That is my gut feeling, because India was ultimately waiting for a common framework, because the finance minister is absolutely clear that no single country can control crypto. It has to be a concentrated effort. And I think that effort, the result of that effort will come in September, and in 2024, changes will happen in the existing bill, and it might get come feature in one of the session in 2024. I think 2024, we will not wait for 5 6 years. 2024
Mhm.
is the year when you can expect a regulation, clear regulation in crypto.
Wow, wow, amazing. So, Mr. Kashif, these were, kind of questions which we got either from audience or we found out, which are basically the highest queries with the highest search volume. So we thought we should get your opinion on it. And to be frank, this has been a very informational and fruitful session. I'm sure, these questions were not just ours, but people in tier three, tier four cities who are still afraid, who are still scared, and are missing out in these opportunities, right? Why Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies always had that narrative that it's for everybody, right? It's finally freedom of finance, freedom for finance, right? So I'm sure this will definitely help those people, and this podcast is targeted for those people only who can finally, either as a business, either as a retail investor, go out with trust on exchanges, buy some Bitcoin as an experimental thought, and over the time, keep on aggregating as and when we get more regulatory clarity. Now, on a side note, I would really like to know from you, because you are definitely a media person. You have far more experience than many of us, to be frank. Now, what is your suggestion for us to improve? I mean, we are trying our level best, but we know there is a long way ahead. So, if you were running CoinGate, Mr. Kashif, what is your suggestion? How should we proceed from here?
Yeah, I think this is one of the initiatives that you've already done, is the
Mm,
podcast, bringing the right people, bringing the voices of crypto, and then giving them a platform. I think this is the first step. And second is that more educational content should be featured on your
mhm,
website and through your media platforms. And so suppose if you're catering to India, I think multilingual content is missing. So suppose
mhm,
I think there is a need for 3 4 languages, main languages, like Telugu is one, Punjabi and Bengali, Gujarati, uh, I mean, and Hindi. These 4 5 languages can be seen, because even I feel at times that my content is generally in Hindi. And I
mhm,
feel that a Punjabi guy might understand my content, but maybe in South people disconnect with my content. There I feel English might work, but English doesn't also work everywhere. Telugu is something that
mhm.
connects South India, Kannada maybe. So maybe some content in those languages will be a great opportunity for somebody to start with.
Nice. I mean, definitely we can try that out. So right now with podcast, we are not limiting ourselves to English. This is what our plan is. Even if we have to separate out this particular voice of Web3 as a brand, but it has to be multilingual. So the plan is to cover it in Hindi, cover it in English, cover it in Spanish, cover it in one or two more languages in India. Go as much local as you can, probably. That is a target now. Uh, but thanks a lot. I mean, for your time.